Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight up. Nothing in life will ever work for you unless you work it consistently. People love to talk about success. They love to dream about winning, but very few are willing to show up day after day, even when they don't feel like it. Consistency is not about feelings, it's about commitment. If you want to see your life change, you've got to force yourself to keep showing up, keep pushing, and keep building, even on the days when it's the hardest. Ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you consistency requires discipline, I need you to understand what that really means. Discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you develop. It's the ability to control your actions, your thoughts, and your habits, even when everything in you wants to do the opposite. And here's the truth. If you want to be consistent, you have to be disciplined enough to do what needs to be done, not just what you feel like doing. Feelings are unreliable. They shift with the weather, they change with circumstances, they move depending on who's around you. But discipline, when you commit to it, does not bend. It stands strong no matter what storm comes your way. That's why so many people fail to reach their goals, not because they're not talented, not because they're not smart, but because they couldn't master the discipline that consistency demands. Every great thing you admire, every success story you've heard is built on discipline. A student who graduates top of their class didn't just study when they felt like it. They studied when they were tired. They studied when their friends were out having fun. They studied when their body said, take a break. An athlete who wins championships didn't just practice when the cameras were on. They practiced when nobody was watching, when it was raining, when they were sore, when they wanted to quit. That's discipline. That's why they became consistent enough to succeed. Without discipline, consistency is impossible. You cannot build a habit without repeating the same action. And you cannot repeat the same action without disciplining yourself to stay on course. Discipline is like a muscle. You don't wake up one morning and suddenly have it. You develop it by using it. Just like lifting weights, at first it feels heavy, uncomfortable, and maybe even painful. But the more you practice self-control, the stronger you get. You start by disciplining yourself in small things. Waking up at the time you said you would. Finishing the task you promised yourself you'd do. Saying no to distractions that steal your time. Over time, these small acts of discipline pile up. They turn into habits, and those habits create consistency. And when you got consistency on your side, there's no limit to what you can achieve. But here's the challenge. Discipline is not convenient. It will always pull you away from comfort. It will always ask you to do the harder thing. That's why so many people avoid it. They want the reward without the responsibility. They want the prize without the price. But let me tell you something. Discipline is the price you pay for freedom. The freedom to live the life you dream of. The freedom to have choices, to control your future, to stand proud, knowing you didn't take shortcuts. You earn that freedom through discipline, through forcing yourself to keep going even when your feelings scream no. Ladies and gentlemen, I've learned in my own life that discipline is what separates those who talk from those who walk. You can have big goals, you can have big dreams, but if you can't discipline yourself to show up consistently, they'll always stay dreams. People who master discipline turn those dreams into reality. And it's not because they had more resources or better luck. It's because they forced themselves to stay consistent when it was easier to give up. That's the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest mistakes people make in life is waiting for motivation to strike before they take action. They think they've got to feel inspired. They think the right mood has to hit them. They think something magical has to happen before they start working on your dreams. But let me tell you the truth. Motivation is a liar. It comes and goes whenever it pleases, and if you're depending on it to carry you, you'll never move forward consistently. You'll be on fire one day, and the next day you won't feel like doing anything. If you're waiting for motivation to show up, You're giving away your future to something that is completely unreliable. The people who win in life, the ones you look up to, they didn't get where they are because they were always motivated. They got there because they built systems, routines, and habits that carried them through the days when they weren't motivated at all. Do you think champions feel motivated every morning to get up at 4 a.m. and train? Do you think authors always feel inspired to sit down and write page after page? Do you think entrepreneurs are always excited about the grind of building a business? Absolutely not. But they do it anyway because they know that success doesn't come from bursts of inspiration. It comes from consistency. And consistency doesn't need motivation. It needs discipline. You see, when you wait for motivation, you're basically waiting for permission to live your life. You're letting your emotions tell you what you can or cannot do. But emotions are temporary. You might wake up excited one morning and lazy the next. If you only work when you're motivated, you're going to be inconsistent. And inconsistency will rob you of everything you're trying to achieve. That's why you need to build habits that don't care how you feel. You need a routine that keeps you moving forward whether you're inspired or not. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wake up every day motivated to brush your teeth, but you do it anyway because it's a habit. You don't debate it. You don't argue with yourself about it. You just get it done. That's the same way your goals need to become. They have to be part of your daily system, something you do automatically because you train yourself to. And the more you repeat it, the stronger that system becomes until it no longer relies on a temporary feeling of motivation. Another reason you cannot wait for motivation is because motivation usually shows up after you start. People think they need to feel good before they act, but the truth is action creates momentum, and momentum creates motivation. The moment you take that first step, even when you don't feel like it, you spark energy inside yourself. That small progress encourages you, and suddenly you feel motivated to keep going. Is backwards from how most people think. You don't wait for motivation to move. You move. And then motivation comes along for the ride. Ladies and gentlemen, I've learned that successful people don't wake up every day ready to conquer the world. They wake up just like everybody else, sometimes tired, sometimes frustrated, sometimes not in the mood. But what separates them is that they act anyway. They don't negotiate with themselves. They don't ask, do I feel like it today? They know that feelings don't build dreams, actions do. That's why they keep pressing forward, with or without motivation, because they understand the truth. Waiting for motivation is waiting to fail. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most powerful things about consistency is that it builds trust. And I'm not just talking about trust with other people. I'm talking about trust with yourself first. When you say you're going to do something and you actually follow through on it, you begin to believe in your own word. That belief in yourself becomes confidence. That confidence turns into courage. And that courage opens doors you never thought you could walk through. But when you constantly break promises to yourself, when you say you'll change but never do, when you set goals but never stick to them, you destroy your own trust. And when you can't trust yourself, how can you expect anybody else to? Every time you keep a commitment to yourself, no matter how small, you're sending yourself a message. I can depend on me. If you say you're going to wake up early and you do it, you build trust. If you say you're going to go to the gym and you show up, you build trust. If you say you're going to finish a project and you complete it, you build trust. And the more you do that, the stronger your inner belief becomes. Pretty soon, your confidence isn't fake, it's real because it's built on evidence. You've proven to yourself that you follow through. That's the kind of trust consistency creates. But it doesn't stop there. When you are consistent, people around you notice. They begin to respect you because you show up. They see that your word means something, and they start to depend on you. In business, in relationships, in friendships, consistency is the foundation of trust. Nobody trusts a person who is unpredictable, who shows up one day and disappears the next. People trust those who are steady, reliable, and committed. When people know you are consistent, opportunities begin to come your way. People want to work with you. They want to invest in you. They want to stand beside you because they know you won't quit halfway. Think about it. If you had to choose between someone extremely talented but unreliable and someone steady who always shows up, you would pick the reliable one every time. Because talent without consistency is dangerous. You can't build anything on shaky ground. You need a foundation you can trust, and that foundation is built by consistency. That's why so many talented people never reach greatness, but people who are dependable, who keep showing up, rise higher than anyone expected. The truth is, consistency is not about being perfect. It's not about never making mistakes. It's about proving again and again that you are serious about what you say. It's about showing people through your actions that they can count on you. And when people trust you, they open doors for you that talent alone could never open. They recommend you, they promote you, they partner with you, they follow you because you have earned their trust through consistency. But remember, it all starts with you. You cannot demand trust from others if you don't trust yourself. If you're constantly letting yourself down, breaking your own word, and making excuses, people will see through that. They may not say it out loud, but they'll know you're not reliable. On the other hand, if you've trained yourself to keep promises to yourself, that consistency will naturally shine through. It will change the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you walk into a room. People can sense when someone is dependable. And that kind of trust is magnetic. Ladies and gentlemen, consistency is the secret ingredient to trust with yourself. It builds unshakable confidence with others. It builds respect and opportunities. And once trust is established, the possibilities for your life are endless. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest truths about consistency that people don't want to hear is that it is not glamorous. Everybody loves the highlight reel. Everybody loves the moment of success, the applause, the recognition, the stage lights, the big paycheck, the dream house, the cars, the lifestyle. But nobody loves the grind that comes before all that. Nobody celebrates the early mornings, the late nights, the tired days, the sacrifices, the moments of doubt, and the endless repetition. That's why so many people quit too early. They think success is supposed to be exciting every day. But the truth is that consistency is often boring. It's routine. It's repetitive. And that's where the magic happens. Greatness is not built in the spotlight, it's built in the dark. Champions are not made in the ring, they're made in the hours of practice when nobody is watching. Singers don't become great because of one performance on stage, they become great because of countless hours rehearsing in an empty room. Writers don't succeed because of one best-selling book. They succeed because of the habit of writing page after page, day after day, even when the words don't come easy. Success is not glamorous because it demands quiet repetition, and quiet repetition does not feel exciting. But it's exactly what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Think about it. Anybody can be excited at the beginning. Starting something new always feels good. At the gym on January 1st, everybody's motivated. New business idea, everybody's hyped. First day of college, everybody's ready to go. But check back a few weeks later. The excitement fades, the shine wears off. And all that's left is the grind. That's where most people fall off because it's no longer fun, it's no longer new, and it's no longer glamorous. But if you can push through that stage, if you can force yourself to keep showing up when it's boring, that's when you start separating yourself from the crowd. Consistency is unglamorous because it doesn't give you instant results. You go to the gym once and look in the mirror, you won't see a difference. You write one chapter and expect a book deal, you'll be disappointed. You practice one speech and expect to be a world-class speaker, you'll be discouraged. That's the trap. People expect quick results, and when they don't see them, they quit. But consistency doesn't pay in the short term, it pays in the long term. It rewards patience, and patience is not exciting, but it's the only way. I'm telling you this because too many people give up on their dreams, not because they weren't capable, but because they couldn't handle the boring part of the process. They wanted every day to feel like a highlight, every step to feel like a victory lap, every effort to come with applause. But life doesn't work like that. Success is built in silence, and silence is not glamorous. You've got to learn to love the grind, to appreciate the repetition, to understand that those small, daily, uncelebrated actions are building the foundation for something big. Ladies and gentlemen, don't get caught up chasing glamour. Don't waste your time waiting for every moment to feel exciting. Learn to respect the boring days because they are the ones shaping you. They are the ones strengthening your discipline. They are the ones preparing you for the spotlight, the stage, the applause, the rewards. Those are just the results. But the process, the routine, the hours you put in when nobody's clapping, that's where greatness is born. And that's why consistency, though not glamorous, is the most powerful thing you can ever commit to. Ladies and gentlemen, talent will only take you so far, but consistency will take you all the way. I've met some of the most talented people in the world, people who could sing like angels, people who are geniuses with ideas, people who could outthink, outrun, or outshine anybody in the room. But you know what I've seen time and time again? Talent without consistency fades away. It's not the most gifted person who wins in life. It's the one who refuses to quit. It's the one who keeps showing up day after day, whether they feel like it or not. Consistency will always beat talent when talent refuses to work hard. You got to understand something. Talent is a gift, but consistency is a choice. You can't choose whether you're naturally gifted in something, but you can choose how much effort you're willing to put in. You can choose whether you'll stay disciplined enough to repeat the process every single day until the results come. And the person who chooses consistency will always outrun the person who relies only on talent. Because talent might give you a head start, but consistency is what keeps you in the race. Think about athletes. The world is full of young kids who had the talent to make it big. They could run faster, jump higher, play better than anyone around them. But a lot of them didn't make it, not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked consistency. They skipped practice. They lost focus. They didn't put in the work day after day. Meanwhile, there were others who weren't the fastest or the strongest, but they showed up to every practice, studied the game, improved a little bit each day, and stayed committed long after the talented ones gave up. And those are the ones who ended up on the big stage. Consistency is powerful because it compounds. Every small action you repeat builds on the last one, and over time, it creates a mountain of progress. Talent gives you moments, but consistency gives you results. A talented person who only works hard once in a while will never beat the person who works hard consistently, even if their talent is average. The consistent person will keep learning, keep improving, and keep climbing until they pass everybody else. You've also got to realize that talent can create arrogance. Sometimes when people are too talented, they start believing they don't need to put in the work. They get lazy. They think their natural gift is enough. But consistency humbles you. It teaches you that you can't rely on yesterday's performance. It forces you to get better every day. And that humility, that steady grind, produces greatness. Because greatness is not one big moment. It's the accumulation of small, disciplined moments over time. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're sitting there thinking you're not talented enough, let me encourage you. You don't need to be the most talented to win. You don't need to be the smartest, the fastest, or the most gifted. What you need is consistency. If you show up day after day, if you stay disciplined, if you refuse to quit, you will outlast and eventually outperform people who had more talent than you. Talent sets the stage, but consistency keeps you on it. Talent can make you shine for a moment, but consistency makes you shine for a lifetime. Ladies and gentlemen, when you force yourself to be consistent, you are showing the highest level of self-respect. Because self-respect is not just about how you dress, how you talk, or how you carry yourself in front of people. It's about how you honor your own commitments when nobody's watching. When you set a goal and you actually stick to it, when you say you'll do something and you do it, you're proving to yourself that your word means something. That's self-respect. Too many people talk big but never follow through, and deep down, they lose respect for themselves because they know they're not living up to their own standards. But when you stay consistent, even when it's hard, you're telling yourself, I matter enough to keep my promises. Consistency is the evidence that you take yourself seriously. If you really value your dreams, if you really believe in your potential, you won't treat your goals like an option, you'll treat them like a priority. Forcing yourself to be consistent shows that you're not waiting on luck or waiting for someone else to rescue you. You're willing to put in the work day after day because you respect the vision you have for your life. Nobody can respect you more than you respect yourself. And if you keep quitting on yourself, if you keep making excuses, you're basically telling the world that you don't believe you deserve the success you say you want. Now, here's the truth. Forcing yourself to be consistent isn't easy, but that's exactly why it's powerful. It means you are not letting laziness control you. It means you are not letting fear control you. It means you are not letting distractions control you. You are controlling yourself. You're choosing discipline over comfort, and that choice builds strength inside you. Every time you keep going when you want to stop, every time you push forward when your body says no, you're adding another layer of respect to yourself. You start to see yourself differently because you realize you're stronger than your excuse. The way you treat yourself sets the tone for how other people treat you. If you're inconsistent, if you don't respect your own goals, don't expect others to respect your time or your efforts. But if you're consistent, if you carry yourself with discipline and commitment, people notice. They begin to treat you the way you treat yourself. They see that you are serious. Respect starts within, and consistency is how you earn it. Think about it like this. When you respect your health, you eat better, you exercise, you rest. When you respect your time, you stop wasting it. You plan, you focus. When you respect your future, you invest in it through learning, practicing, and working hard today. All of that requires consistency. You can't respect your life in theory. You have to prove it through consistent action. And that's why forcing yourself to stay consistent is the ultimate act of self-respect. You're saying to yourself, I refuse to live beneath my potential. I refuse to let myself down. I will show up for me every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, success begins when you start respecting yourself enough to be consistent. Not sometimes, not when it's easy, not when it feels good, but every day. Because when you force yourself to be consistent, you're not just chasing goals, you're honoring yourself. And when you honor yourself, everything else in life begins to rise to that same level.